Miriam Araya is a second-year doctoral student in Justice Studies in the School of Social Transformation here at ASU. In addition to her duties as a doctoral student, she is also part of Black Lives Matter Metro Phoenix. She is vice president of the ASU Graduate Student Association, excuse me. She completed a master's in justice studies from San Jose State University and an undergraduate degree in criminal justice with a minor in sociology from California State East Bay, where she organized and performed in several different productions, including the Vagina Monologues. She also goes by Mimi and has organizing against systematic oppression for over a decade, and is also a scholar in the field of justice and plans to continue engaging in that work that furthers liberation of all oppressed people with Black folks at the center. She is an absolutely amazing person, and today she will be speaking about providing a presentation on exploring perspectives on Black motherhood, parenting, and child rearing through Black social media users, meme circulation. Please welcome first, Miriam.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is thank you. I heard there was an introduction, but I wasn't able to hear it. But thank you, and I'm glad to be here again. So what I'll do is I'm kind of just gonna share my screen and kind of let y'all know about some of the work that um, Kira and Otis and I have been doing on a book chapter on exploring perspectives on Black motherhood, parenting, and child rearing through Black social media user circulation. So this will allow me to share screen here. Okay, so again, so just to be clear, this paper kind of looks at how social media users do impact the way that we think about Black families and Black parenting and things like that. So in situating how we're talking about Black life, the paper does situate itself in what Saidiya Hartman would call slavery's afterlife, especially since we're looking at Black Americas. So I'll go ahead and read this quote so it can kind of set the context here. So if slavery persists as an issue in the political life of Black America, it is not because of an antiquarian obsession with bygone days or the burden of a too long memory, but because Black lives are imperiled and devalued by a racial calculus and a political arithmetic that were entrenched centuries ago. This is the afterlife of slavery: skewed life chances, limited access to health and education, premature death, incarceration, and impoverishment. I am too the afterlife of slavery. So, in everything that we've gone as far as methods and things go, like in understanding the situation, and the reality of Black life under captivity and after slavery, is kind of how we are looking at the Black social media users and their depictions through, and it's how they have also survived and used different familiar mechanisms to survive, and then how a lot of, as we see in the media today, it perpetuates a lot of these kinds of stereotypes and things like that about Black lives. So it's like a both and. Okay. So theoretical framework and methodology. So we used a Black feminist epistemology, which commits to recognizing alternative knowledge producers and methods of distribution in order to uncover formerly subjugated knowledge. So again, being able to pay attention to the ways of knowing that Black feminists have used helps us to understand better and conceptualize better how Black social media users impact ideas about Black motherhood, masculinity, and child rearing. So there was a Google search just done. The memes were found, and the memes were found because of specifically social media users' memes. So it was Google and Instagram. And so we look at kind of like different hashtags, hashtag growing up Black, hashtag Black moms be like, hashtag Black families be like, looked up Black fathers. And again, so Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and Google. So after doing a lot of the research, and then a lot of this was Kira's on her part. We basically found that there were major themes. So there was four major themes. So siblings and extended family members, discipline, conflict, and Black fathers as absent fathers. So we basically kind of like analyze, and we kind of discuss how Black fathers showed up, and like we're able to get into like what does the research say about this specific issue versus why specific issue exists. So when we talked about Black fathers, we had to go into discussing the Mohanahan report and the Negro family, and like the idea that there's just these absent fathers in these female-headed households without recognizing the fact that there are larger structural issues in place that lead to this. And a lot of that, is the extreme poverty, the racial capitalism, and the mass incarceration, things like this that happens to Black families under and living in the afterlives of slavery. And in looking at and so in that way we found that like some of this stuff that Black social media users are saying is basically ascribing to this larger rhetoric that's going around, this kind of Mohanahan report rhetoric about Black families. And then Black mothering and the role of the extended family, we kind of it's pretty funny. There were some pretty funny memes that we found, but eventually it was this issue of being able to see how Black families do support each other more communally in struggle. So like the aunties, the grandmas, and it was everybody like communally coming together under struggle and raising their children. So in that way, we did find like these are mechanisms of survival and collectivism that is like traditionally used in West Africa, and how like some of that is still happening and resides in Black families today by looking at the social media users and figuring out the things that they're saying about their aunties, like when this auntie comes to visit, and just funny stuff there. And then there was like conflict.
Sorry to interrupt.
And like discipline in Black families, that theme as far as that, and looking at the memes. Like this one here, no, I got it. I do everything else in this house anyway. Y'all gonna miss me when I'm dead. Kind of drawing attention to the recognition and all the frustration of Black mothers encounter giving care. So again, just like being disciplined in the sense of care as well. But like through this one, we kind of realized how like corporality and carcerality are embedded in not only our larger society, but also in the Black family lives and structures, and how there is, still this very much so needed thing for abolition in the interpersonal as well, and in family homes, and in Black family environments as well. And we go into that a little bit more here. So that's pretty much me explaining some of those themes and some of the stuff that we found in a lot of the research we did. So I think I'm done. I think this is kind of awkward because I can't hear y'all too. I don't know. I think people are communicating in the chat. But yeah, and of course there's room for further questions. So how do Black trans and gender queer people portray their families, and how does class affect Black family life according to the memes, and stuff in the research that we could obviously like expand upon. But these were some of our findings here, and like how we kind of related it and situated it in slavery's afterlife. So it's pretty much a content analysis, content analysis of the circulating memes. And that is all for this paper, for this book chapter here. I guess I will open it up for question and answers if anybody has anything. and we'll see. Okay, I guess I can ask the question of like how do y'all see like um how do y'all see social media like playing out, possibly playing out in some of the paradigms that you're analyze of oppression that you're analyzing in your own work? How do you see social media helping that? How do you see social media informing that? And how do you see what is social media saying about the issues that you're writing about in your own work? Yes, thank you for your question, Val. And so the impact of leveraging social media on research. I think that one of the reasons why I find like looking at social media as a site and a source of research to be important is because media, in many ways, social media can be race making. And so how does what does it mean to intake, and especially for younger generations, intake all of these sources of media and have it actually inform material reality as we see it has always done as like black scholars, doctors, and lawyers. When black folks first landed in the Americas, were kind of like using the media and using social media for them as like newspapers, right? Like using media to be like, you know, these are our property. These are they're inherently inferior. Their brains are smaller, like that kind of stuff. So like, how do these kinds of archetypes and these messagings still exist today in slavery's afterlife, and linger on in a way that can end up being similar to that, but also in a way that is a site that could possibly make us have us learn something about ourselves new that can propel us into the future. So it's like a both and kind of thing, but just as an important thing to kind of keep looking at how history kind of unfolds in social media and media practices.
So we gonna do what we do, right? We gonna be real creative, and we're gonna be real creative in how we ask Miriam questions. So Miriam is going to answer questions, and she'll be able to hear you through my phone. So if you have any questions for Miriam, please either type it in the chat, or you can go ahead and speak, and she'll be able to hear you through my audio.
So the question is asked by Sarah. What are your next steps that you want to do after this?
After this paper, or like yeah, after this paper. So this paper pretty much, you know, it's going to be published in a book. So it's kind of it's doing its own thing after that. What I could do is possibly potentially use some of the methodologies that were deployed in this paper to help me with my current research, where I plan on doing a particular level of social media analysis as well. So just kind of transferring those Black feminist ways of understanding and knowing to some of the work that I've already done, but I think that's primarily where I see these works colluding, and also probably be using Hartman in my further research too, in order to get readers to understand the current times, you know, and past times that we're living in at the same time.
Miriam, thank you so much. That was actually that was a spectacular presentation. I have several questions, but we do need to move on to Val. And I think that the intersection of social media, social networking, motherhood, and just the formulations of the intersections of Blackness and gender are absolutely fascinating. You presented in, like I said, a very very accessible and palpable way. So it'll be very interesting how this unfolds, and I can't wait to read the chapter.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.